Hey Eric, I know you were huge friends of mine and love what happened the other day, but I want to tell you a moment of silence for your greatness, your awareness, your appreciation. Integrity is important. Respect is important. What we represent and stand for is important. Eric, continue to be you. Continue to be free to be you. Not let people hand you any kind of way. Have some respect and some consideration for yourself. Stay first class, my friend. Keep in this booming.
If what Antonio Brown is saying in this statement that he posted is true, then the Tampa Bay Buccaneers are officially screwed. Like, I don't think I've ever seen something this bad in my entire life, and what the Buccaneers are being accused of, more specifically Bruce Arians, is actually freaking horrible. So before we get to the content, we're giving away $500 to a subscriber that turns on our notifications on this channel. In addition to that, we're giving away $500 to a follower that follows my Instagram at @theflightmike. And now that we got all that out of the way, break. Mike Chuck 1212, what's going on, everybody? The Antonio Brown situation has been one of the most bizarre stories I've ever covered since, well, the previous Antonio Brown situation. But jokes aside, I have never seen a scenario where a player takes off his jersey in the middle of a freaking game, chucks the deuces, and runs off of the field. But in addition to that, I haven't seen a situation that the team in which he played for not only cut him on the spot immediately after the game, but did this world-class cover-up job that just to me seemed a little sketchy. I said in my previous video that the fact that Bruce Arians just said simply, hey, Antonio Brown is no longer a Buccaneer, he's no longer part of the team, made me think that there's some sketchiness going on behind closed doors. Whenever Bruce Arians was asked about the situation, it was always something along the lines of, I hope he gets the help he needs, but he's no longer part of our team. Even Tom Brady came out and said that he is,
hopefully do what they can to help him in ways that he really needs it. And, we all love him. We care about him deeply. We want to see him be at his best, and, unfortunately it won't be with our team, but, we have a lot of friendships that will last. And again, I think the most important thing about football are the relationships with your friends and your teammates, and they go beyond the field. And, I think everyone should be very compassionate and empathetic toward, some very difficult things that are happening.
Which makes me wonder whether or not Tom Brady was part of this cover-up job, or that Bruce Arians told Tom Brady his side of the story, and Tom Brady assumed that Antonio Brown had some sort of mental breakdown, and that he hopes that the media and everyone else is compassionate towards him. There's really no way that I could prove one side or the other, so those are both sides of the coin. You can make up your mind and let me know what you think in the comment section down below. We didn't even get to Antonio Brown's statement yet, and that is going to absolutely blow your mind. As you're going to see later on in the video, what AB is going to say in his statement not only makes the Tampa Bay Buccaneers look like a horrific organization, but it can absolutely cripple this team. But ultimately, we never heard Antonio Brown's side of things. He kept fairly quiet up until his lawyer came out and issued a completely game-changing and an extremely terrifying statement that can literally screw the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, not only legally, but just professionally. And I can't help but wonder whether or not Tom Brady knows about how all this went down. So this was tweeted by Ian Rappaport and of course Adam Schefter, but we're gonna go with Ian Rappaport mainly because I had a funny tweet on the Ian Rappaport tweet, so we're gonna go with that. First of all, I'd like to express my gratitude to the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, fans, and my teammates. The Bucs helped me return to productive football after I had difficulties that could have ended my career. We worked together to resolve those difficulties, and I will always appreciate that. Being part of a Super Bowl champion team and then a contender is a dream come true. So right off the bat, you could clearly tell that this was written by Antonio Brown and not anyone else. This is clearly Antonio Brown's writing, but jokes aside, this opens up very cordially because the Tampa Bay Buccaneers did help Antonio Brown revitalize his career. Now it continues to say, I make mistakes. I'm working on myself, and I have positive influences around me. But one thing I don't do is shy away from playing hard on the field. No one can accuse me of not giving it my all every single play. Because of my commitment to the game, I relented to pressure directly from my coach to play injured. Despite the pain, I suited up, and the staff injected me with what I know was a powerful and sometimes dangerous painkiller that the NFLPA has warned against using. And I gave it my all for the team. I played until it was clear that I could not use my ankle to safely perform my playing responsibilities. On top of that, the pain was extreme. I took a seat on the sideline and my coach came up to me very upset and shouted, "What's wrong with you? What's wrong with you?" I told him it's my ankle, but he knew that. It was well documented and we had discussed it. He then ordered me to get on the field. I said, "Coach, I can't." He didn't call for medical attention. Instead, he shouted at me, "You're done," while he ran his finger across his throat. Coach was telling me that if I didn't play hurt, then I was done with the Bucks. So this statement continues, and we'll get to that in a sec, but this is absolutely insane because do you remember what I said in my previous video when I said that, hey, Bruce Arians isn't going to come out and say that Antonio Brown was injured. He would try to hide the fact, if anything. And Bruce Arians is on record saying that Antonio Brown said nothing about an injury. And Antonio Brown initially insinuated that this was about an injury. Now, the details of this is absolutely crazy to me. Bear in mind, Antonio Brown took 6 weeks off before coming back against the Carolina Panthers. He had a 10 reception, 101 receiving yard game, and he was targeted 15 times. He was like the focal point of that game plan. Maybe Bruce Arians was feeling some pressure from the fact that Chris Godwin was out due to an ACL injury, but the fact that he was being shot up with painkillers despite him not being ready to go, and then he's accusing Bruce Arians coming out and saying, "What's wrong with you? Why aren't you playing right now?" and him being completely insensitive to the fact that Antonio Brown had an injury is absolutely insane and a terrifying accusation for him to make towards the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Now, Antonio continues to say that I didn't quit, I was cut, I didn't walk away from my brothers, I was thrown out. Being fired on the sideline for having a painful injury was bad enough. Then came their spin. Coach denied on national television that he knew about my ankle. That's 100% inaccurate. Not only did he know I missed several games with the injury, he and I exchanged texts days before the game where he clearly acknowledged my injury. He obviously knew I was on the injury list, and the GM acknowledged after the game in text messages to my camp that I did tell coach about my ankle pain on Sunday. This is crazy, especially if Antonio Brown has receipts to prove that all this went down, which I'm assuming he does because I don't think he'd say it in his statement otherwise. And it just goes to show, man, like I know Antonio Brown has some terrifying off the field accusations where he was accused of doing some truly horrific things, but there are also some instances where it seems like Antonio Brown is just painted as a villain, and if what he is saying is true here and it's not just a spin, then this is absolutely terrifying. And it also gives you a look into the dark side of the NFL. No, not my playlist, but actually. But he continues to say, I know we were losing to the New York Jets, and that was frustrating for all of us, but I could not make football plays on that ankle. Yes, I walked off the field, but there's a major difference between launching from the line and taking hits, compared to jogging off the field with a rush of emotions going through your mind. I am really glad that he addressed that because that was something that I was curious about myself, and that just seems to make sense. I am reflecting on my reaction, but there was a trigger. The trigger was someone telling me that I'm not allowed to feel pain. I acknowledge my past, but my past does not make me a second-class citizen. My past does not forfeit forfeit my right to be heard when I am in pain. That is an absolutely iconic thing to say from Antonio Brown, and he's right. First they cut me, now they cage me, instead of asking how I felt or getting to the bottom of it. The team texted my camp promoting a totally false narrative that I randomly acted out without any explanation. They even told us in writing, don't spin this any other way. I have stress, I have things I need to work on, but the worst part of this has been the Tampa Bay Buccaneers' repeated effort to portray this as a random outburst. They are telling people that first I walked off, then I was cut. No, I was cut first and then I went home. They threw me out like an animal and I refused to wear their brand on my body, so I took my jersey off. As part of their ongoing cover-up, they are acting like I wasn't cut and now demanding that I see a doctor of their choice to examine my ankle. What they did not know until now is that on Monday morning, I had an urgent MRI on my ankle. It shows broken bone fragments stuck in my ankle, the ligament torn from the bone, and cartilage loss, which are beyond painful. You can see the bone bulging from the outside, but that must and can be repaired. The MRI has been read by the two top orthopedic surgeons in NYC, including Dr. Martin O'Malley at Hospital for Special Surgery. Not realizing that I had already scheduled a surgery at HSS, the Bucs ordered me under penalty of discipline and with a few hours notice to show up to a more junior doctor at HSS for another opinion. What a joke. They're playing like I wasn't cut, giving me a surprise attack order to show up to another doctor with no reasonable notice, and setting this whole thing up as a basis to cut me because what they did on Sunday was not legitimate. Sorry, general manager, I already received a confirming opinion from the top doctor at the hospital that you ordered me to go to. I love the Bucs fans, I really do. I love my teammates and everyone who showed me grace and believed in me. I gave the Bucs everything I had on the field. What the organization is doing now needs to get cleaned up. I do not understand how people publicly claiming to be concerned about my mental health can do these things to me in private. Once my surgery is complete, I'll be back to 100% and looking forward to next season. Business gonna be booming. Now, in addition to this, Antonio Brown's lawyer, Sean Burstein, had this to say. Antonio Brown never faked an injury in his life. It is incredible that people are pushing false rumors that what happened Sunday was the result of mental health issues and not a well-known ankle injury. Mental health is important, but so is basic dignity. Why would they embark on a campaign of false concealment to avoid responsibility for ignoring the risk of a serious injury for the sake of winning a game? Antonio has reflected on this for days and prepared a heartfelt statement that will be released soon. His injury can clearly be seen on the MRI image taken on Monday morning. Among other things, you can plainly see a piece of loose bone from the outside that is pressing into his ankle joint and a ligament snapped clean off the bone. He will recover, but he needs surgery. We all know that the NFL does not condone the ordering of players in pain or at risk of serious injury to play. Moreover, the injury and location of the visible bone fragment prevented Antonio Brown from being able to make the type of football moves that he is famous for. Imagine yourself trying to avoid a linebacker homing in for a big hit and not being able to cut in time to avoid the hit and keep running. A team cannot and should never put a player at such risk. Conceal such conduct by writing him off as erratic is unlawful. After the Buccaneers pushed our camp to claim that they did nothing wrong and suggested that we should say this event was purely the product of mental illness, now they're subjecting him to behind-the-scenes arbitrary gamesmanship. They cut him, now they cage him. So not only are the Tampa Bay Buccaneers being accused of ruthlessly injecting Antonio Brown with a ton of painkillers when he clearly wasn't good to play just so they could try to beat the New York Jets, but in addition to that, they're claiming that they're holding Antonio Brown on their team against his will so he can't leave and sign on with another team, which is kind of true, by the way, because Antonio Brown still hasn't been released and the Tampa Bay Buccaneers have held their cards really close to their chest, which makes them ultimately definitely look extremely sketchy. Now we have to wait to see what the Tampa Bay Buccaneers say in response to this. My guess would be that they're going to come out and say that what we read is not true at all whatsoever, but it could clearly be proven by Antonio Brown's camp if it is true. I mean, all you have to do is show an MRI of Antonio Brown's ankle and show the text messages between Bruce Arians and AB and the general manager and AB, and then you have the evidence you need to prove Antonio Brown's story and make the Tampa Bay Buccaneers look like an absolutely horrific organization. This is the worst time for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers to be dealing with this man, because they are literally 1 week away from the regular season ending and a hopeful run in the NFL playoffs. Let me know in the comment section down below what you guys think about all this, man, and whose side are you on. Personally, I'm starting to go towards AB's side, but we have to see what other facts are out there. Aside from that, I'm your boy Mike, and I'm dropping our mic until our next upload.